Can I receive communion if I'm divorced? A person who enters into the sacrament of holy matrimony on the day of their wedding, they're probably thinking they're going to be married to this person for the rest of their life. But sometimes situations arise that divorce becomes a possibility. And this is one of those very difficult questions for an individual, maybe to come to a priest, to ask about, to inquire. And there's kind of some misinformation out there a little bit too around the topic. So what if you get divorced? What do you do next? I know in my own pastoral ministry, I often hear from somebody that's divorced that they can't take communion, that they can't receive communion on Sunday or at daily mass, that they just have to stay in the pew. And that's actually not true. The prohibition of the reception of Holy Communion is for someone who is divorced and remarried. So because the church believes in marriage only once, if a person is divorced and then they meet someone, they fall in love, they get married, maybe they're getting married before the justice of the peace, or they're getting married in a Lutheran or a Protestant church, or by some friend of theirs that took some course online to witness marriages. And so because of that, that's a marriage that has taken place outside of the church. They weren't free to marry because of the previous marriage. And so that's the prohibition, the penalty of not receiving Holy Communion. But if a person gets divorced, the church offers an opportunity to review the marriage. And that's a process called the annulment. And an annulment really looks at all the different factors surrounding the consent in the marriage, the day of the marriage, lots of different questions. In my pastoral ministry, again, I walk with lots of people. I've helped so many people in my diocese, where I come from, in Green Bay, Wisconsin, to file for an annulment. I've been one of their advocates in the process. And we look at, is there a reason, something that may have prohibited the sacramental bond from taking place? And so if an annulment is granted, that will make the person free to marry again. There's another little question too about this, I think, and it's, how did you get married in your first marriage? Was it before a priest, a deacon, or a bishop with your two witnesses? Or did you get married before the justice of the peace or in some other religious congregation, Lutherans, Protestants, Presbyterians, etc.? Because if you are a baptized Catholic and then you married someone maybe at a Lutheran church, well, you've married outside of what's called canonical form. And so that's not a full annulment process, but that's lack of canonical form. So you have to meet with someone in order to figure out what type of annulment or lack of canonical form, what is your situation? So if you're divorced, if you're a Catholic, I'd encourage you to sit down with your priest and just see what their thoughts are about the next step going forward. If you have a question about the Catholic faith or about being a follower of Jesus, feel free to submit it by emailing askapriest@spiritjuice.org.